Today I'm going to talk about a Chinese pen. A lot of people have been asking me about cheap Chinese pens, which you can get mostly via eBay. There's a number of these brands. There's Jinhao, there's Bao, or whatever you pronounce that. There's Hero. So some of these companies really specialize in making pens that resemble classic pens, like the Parker 51. Others make some pens that are, I think, pretty original. And today we're going to talk about a Jinhao pen. Now, unfortunately, I could not find the exact model of this pen, so I'll just refer to it as the Jinhao pen, but there's a number of them. I got this via eBay from a German seller, and that's pretty much it. So let's have a look at the pen. First of all, it came with a nice bottle of ink from a brand I didn't know, Lindauer Tinte, which is clearly German. It really has a German type logo, I think. This is the kind of image I get with German cities, with some type of, towers and churches, etc. So nice, 30 milliliters. This is a very tame blue. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's perfectly good ink. It's not spectacular, but it's nice. Came with the pen. I won't complain. Then we have the pen. Now the pen, this was an interesting experience, to say the least. It comes in this fascinating box. I really think it's nice. It has a very nice shape. This is not actually pushed open. This is the way it should be. So it is a curved box, which I think is nice. Interestingly enough, it is held together by two rubber bands. So if you remove them, the cap actually, or the lid actually flies open a bit. Not really complaining. You take off the lid and then you reveal the pen, which I think is not a particularly bad looking pen. It has a nice weight to it. Might as well weigh it now that we're here, because it does feel like it's a bit heavier than some of the pens I've used, but definitely not the heaviest. Well, it weighs down 40 grams. That's actually not bad. Some of my heaviest pens are about 50 grams. Okay, so it should be a metal body. It feels a bit odd, but in all, I think it's nice. It has an acrylic cap. Let's discuss the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do some writing. Right, here we go. The pen. I think this looks pretty classy. I think I may have paid a bit too much for this, but it's not such a bad pen. And just for the looks, I think it was worth it. Okay, so let's start with the cap. The cap, as soon as I unscrewed the pen like this, the cap broke into three separate pieces. This part came off, then I had this part, and I had this metal ring. It was just glued together, I guess, in the factory, and the glue dissolved, so I ended up with a three-part cap. Now, I have a standard solution, which is super glue. And super glue put this back together again, and now it's just fine. But of course, if you buy a pen, you don't expect the cap to fall apart as soon as you unscrew the pen, right? Cheap pens are not. They should be built a bit more decently. Now, this was my first Jinhao pen. Maybe this is just a unique problem. I'm not sure. In any case, I like the pen. Acrylic. It's actually see-through. You probably can't see that, but the light is coming from that side, so I can actually see through it, which means you can see the nib through it if you hold it against the light. I think that's a pretty nice thing. You get this metal ring here. It's really metal. It's not painted on or anything. We have the clip, which is okay. Fairly tight, but springy enough to be used. You can unscrew this part of the cap, and then you can take off the clip. Could be useful for cleaning or something like that. And I kind of like the top of the cap, which reminds me somewhat, I have to say, of the Chinese restaurants around these parts, which usually have decorations of this kind. But I do think it looks nice. It's red. All the pens are blue and black, so it makes a bit of a contrast, but it has some nice gold stuff going on there. I like it. It's already chipped in one place, so you can probably scratch off the gold. It's a pretty cheap pen. I mean, it's what these things are. Okay, the pen itself, we have a barrel, which is supposed to be metal. I think it is metal. We have the same acrylic as used on the cap, for the blind cap. Another chrome highlight. We have some chrome highlighting here. Then we have the nib. The nib is pretty fascinating, but first of all, let me show you again. The cap screws in place. Once it's on there, it takes quite a lot of screwing. It's on there pretty tightly. So, if you enjoy screwing pens, this one's for you. Right, the grip section, nice. I think this is again metal. It feels a bit like it metal. I'm estimating lacquered metal. Another chrome highlight, pretty pleasant to the touch. It's fairly nice. It's not such. I was afraid this would be a very small pen. You know I have large hands. It's not the biggest pen I've ever used, but it's definitely big enough to be used unposted. And you can post it, although it's a bit complicated because you got the screw, the threads in the cap to screw the cap back in place, so it doesn't fit that well. So actually this is not a pen made for posting, but you could do it, but the cap will fly off at some point. Alright, came with a converter, very standard converter. Now, fascinating issue. The feed, look at this, you see that? No gills, no hole, nothing. The nib, no breather hole, nothing. What happens when you dip this into a bottle of ink and you twist this? Nothing. I tried it for 5 minutes. It sucked up about, I think, 1/100th of a milliliter of ink. There were a few very small drops in there, and that was it. That sounds pretty logical to me, because there are no openings. Where would the ink go in? So either this is a design flaw, or it was meant to be used with cartridges only and I just got a converter, I'm not sure. In any case, what you can do, stick this in the ink bottle, fill it up, put it in your pen. It does fit pretty well, not extremely well, but it does tight enough not to fly out. Then dip this in the ink. It should be fine. So it's not a big issue, but it I thought it was. I mean, imagine my experience. I uncap the pen, the cap falls apart. I put the pen in the ink, I try to ink it up, it doesn't suck up ink. I mean, I was looking at this like, oh my god, what did I buy? But in the end, it was fine. Okay, let's have a look at the the nib. The nib is actually, I think, it looks pretty nice. It has a fairly nice shape, not a very standard nib shape. I do like it. There is some detail on it. It has a type of logo which is like a stylized H. Maybe that's Jinhao. I'm not absolutely sure. Maybe it's some type of symbol. I don't know. Some nice lines etched in there. And then it says China. Should you have missed that, it is made in China. And then there was something on there, and I was really checking it out. And I thought, what does this say? It says 22, and then I thought it said KGB. So I thought, what the hell? Is this like some type of secret service stuff? No, it doesn't say KGB. It says KGP. So I guess what they mean is 22 karat gold plated GP. This is my estimate. Is it really gold plated? Who knows? It wasn't that expensive. Then again, it wasn't that cheap either. It could be. I suppose if they claim it, I should believe it. I'm not that naive though. I just don't know. Let's say it is. It's definitely not particularly scratchy, so it might well be gold plated. Okay. Cleaning the pen. Haven't tried that yet. It's probably going to be an interesting exercise. I wonder what pen part will fall off when I flush it through. But in any case, so far I have not been... Oh, look. Ink cloth. Help! Sorry, I just pulled on the feed. And apparently you can take it out. Look at that. Then you can remove the nib. Now isn't that fantastic? I love that, because that makes cleaning so much easier. Alright, also you can apparently move the feed in a bit further than it used to be. That may add some flex. Nah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll reassemble the pen. I'll do a writing sample. And as you can see, it's easy to clean because you can just take out all the parts, you can flush through the section, you can flush through the feed, and flush through the nib. And that should be it. So there you have it. Jinhao, very interesting. Thanks everyone for suggesting this pen brand to me. A fascinating experience. I'll show you how it writes. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Alright, writing with the Jinhao unknown model pen. Oh yeah, this was not a poster. Okay, then here we go. Jinhao. I don't know about the tone. Could be Jinhao or Jinhao or Jinhao or Jinhao. I don't know. And I think those are just my botched versions of Mandarin, let alone the 8 tones of Cantonese. So, unknown model. Sorry about that, but I really don't know. The ink is the Lindauer, which I already showed you. So as I told you, this is a fairly tame, maybe even bland blue. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Its properties are good enough. It's just not a very spectacular blue. Right. I could try to give you a bit of a zoom, a close-up of the nib, but probably my camera won't focus very well. So, let's go on with the writing. The quick. You see, it's not the wettest of pens. The quick brown fox fell apart upon unboxing. Yeah, too bad. My biggest issue with the pen is that it's so dry. I mean, look at this. It's. I'll see if I can force some more ink into the feed by twisting the converter a bit. It's a lot of ink. Okay. Better? Well, somewhat. Fast writing. Okay, you see some skipping. It's a dry pen, so it'll really lose a beat there. But okay. Coloring. Well, you can pretty much forget that. You'll get these little white lines in there because it's just a dry pen. It doesn't lay down a wet patch of ink, which I like. Compare this to that, and you'll see what I mean. This is a nice wet pen, and this is a very dry pen. Okay, now, one redeeming quality. There is some line variation. So at least the pen is a little bit flexible. Clearly it's not a flex pen, but it does give you some line variation. The nib is pretty hard. It's a bit like a nail. And you see that on these upward strokes it just suffers. And it underperforms. But okay, it's not that expensive a pen. Actually, I don't dislike the pen, but this is something I would use under specific circumstances, and if I were to do a lot of writing somewhere, this would not be the pen I'd take. Apart from that, fairly inexpensive, it looks pretty nice, no real issues, just so you know. Okay, well, it's not the smoothest of pens, it's not the worst either, so just okay. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.